Next up is Ryan Dominguez from Mass Cannabis Coalition.
Morning, Commissioners. Ryan Dominguez, Massachusetts Cannabis Coalition. I want to say thank you to the Commissioners for hosting this listening session, for inviting the testing labs as well as the industry to provide their feedback on our testing program. I think it's definitely time for us to take a second look at our testing program and just reevaluate some of the impacts that we thought were going to happen when we first implemented them to what actually happened. And I think that is something that many of us will agree upon, whether we're testing labs or whether we're in the licensee kind of market. First, I want to say I support all the testing labs and having quarterly, monthly meetings with all of you as the CCC. I think it's really important to have their viewpoint heard as we're thinking about wholesale changes to the program. But with that said, I also want to say that we've been working with testing labs, and we have a few testing labs as part of our association. And while we may not agree on every point, and sometimes the industry can kind of put us at odds, we found that there are some commonalities that we can agree upon. Some of the things that we don't necessarily agree upon are, reduced testing allowance or increasing the batch size requirements. But at the same time, we're looking at things like changing the total yeast and mold, the total anaerobic bacteria testing, and try to make that more species specific. I think the whole industry can get behind that. In a similar way, we're looking at some of our limits. If you look at the residual solvent limits that we have, as well as some of the pesticide limits, I know the previous testifier mentioned some other states and how high their limits are for total yeast and mold. If you look at our residual solvent limits as well as our pesticide limits, that is in the same way, kind of tenfold compared to some of the other states. I think we're at 15 parts per billion or million. I'm sorry, I don't really know the science behind it, but and for our residual solvent limits and 10 ppb or parts per million for our pesticide limits. And please correct me, testing labs, if I have that wrong. But I think that's definitely something that we should look at. It could save licensees some funding, as well as, kind of make us in line with some of the other states that are creating their testing programs based on new research and data that's coming out every day. And I think, we're connected in a similar way within this industry. In the same way that we're facing AR issues, the testing labs are now seeing that as well. And if we can figure out changes around the testing program to save some licensees some money, but while keeping consumer safety, I think the whole industry will benefit, and you'll see some downstream effects where testing labs will not have to deal with the same kind of AR issues as well. And then I want to end my comments by saying that the legislature is also looking at the testing program. I think last year they were trying to put together a bill for data transparency, and I know that's something that they want to prioritize going into the next session as well. So in the same way that you all are thinking about that on the regulatory level, I think if there is support that's needed from the legislature, they're more than willing to do so.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Quick question,
Yeah.
Ryan, what labs are part of your association?
Yeah, so we have Safety Labs, which is going to be putting her up for our board seat. And then we have a couple others, and happy to bring you into our testing subcommittee to show you some of the other folks that are part of it.
Okay, thank you.
And thank you, Ryan. And I just, for those who didn't watch our meeting last week, and you might already know this, we tackled regs. We did some more updates to the regulations around delivery, micro businesses, telehealth. But I want to thank my colleagues because we really wanted to make sure B2B was included and not just B2C. And that, I think there's out of the 13 operating labs, 4 of you have vehicles. And it was required. I know Megan has spoken up many times on this, that there was 2 agents required. So after a November, 8th will be promulgated and they kick in November 22nd, you'll be able to go down to 1 agent in your vehicle. And so that's, that's a helpful step in the right direction as well. So for those that weren't aware, I just wanted to make you aware.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Roy and Commissioners, for pushing that forward. I thought that was a really great step for our testing labs.
Great. Thank you, Ryan.
Great. Thanks, Ryan. Okay.